open their phones. Ladies and gentlemen, this reality is shaping their values and identities. Parents already burdened to provide for their families and guiding their children through life challenges are unfairly blamed for social media's unchecked influence. Yes, the true culprit is the ever-invasive, persuasive force, social media. Yes, my opponent, I understand. Parents can guide their children, but how can they compete with an endless stream of negative influence available 24/7? Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence is clear. It is not real parenting that fuels immorality in today's society. It is rather the unchecked and unfiltered social media. I know my opponent is ever ready to mount the podium and debate that parents are responsible for taking care of their children and blah 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 blah. Excuse me, if you poison the water, don't blame the fish for getting sick. Hence, the wise chairperson, bold and impartial panel of judges, meticulous timekeeper, colleague debaters, ladies and gentlemen, representing the prestigious Islamic Senior High School, I am Al Hassan Maruf, the principal speaker, to affirm the motion on board, and I quote: the spate of immorality in today's society should be blamed on social media rather than parents. On quote, the chair, to proceed on, kindly permit me to explain the key terms in the motion to the simplest understanding of all and sundry, as and when needed. Exhibit shall be tended to back our claims. The chair, the motion that social media, rather than parents, is primarily responsible for the increasing immorality rates in today's society, which I firmly agree. Ladies and gentlemen, for a method of a more compelling, organized and a clear debate, we have split our presentation into two dimensions. My presentation here today will focus on why social media is primarily the cause of immorality, whilst my beautiful subordinate speaker comes with facts. What then should be done to eradicate the rising immorality rates in today's society? Moving on to point one. Ladies and gentlemen, social media, the main reason why social media, rather than parents, should be blamed primarily for the cause of immorality is the release of harmful content. Let's press like welfare. Let's be honest, what you feed your mind shapes your behavior. And what young people are feeding today is a daily diet of nudity, perversion, and profanity. This is not funny. Nowadays, the more shocking the content, the more views it gets. The more views it gets, the more it spreads. That is how the system works. I am not talking about one or two bad videos. This is an entire trend, from girls exposing their bodies for likes, to girls, to boys mimicking aggression and process. Ladies and gentlemen, social media is not just running today's society. It is teaching the next generation to glorify immorality. Ladies and gentlemen, my opponents, I understand parents can advise their children, but how do you expect them to compete with a 24/7 content that glamorizes sin and silences voice? Ladies and gentlemen, a child may spend 1 hour with their parents, but saves good hours on their mobile phone. This is not funny. Do you still blame the parents? No. According to Common Sense Media 2023, revealed that approximately 54% of teenagers have admitted they have seen pornographic materials not on adult sites but by mistake. Is this your definition of positive impact? Better research or better lifestyle? Ladies and gentlemen, social media is really impacting our life. Hence, it should be is the main reason why the cause of immorality is rising today. All these concepts are move on to point two. Ladies and gentlemen, social media is the new peer pressure headquarters. The National Communication Authority 2022 found that over 80% of Ghanaian teenagers are active on social media, spending 4 to 6 hours daily online, which my opponents here are no exception. Ladies and gentlemen, and this is more than the average time they spend in school or in room. Ladies and gentlemen, peer pressure, yes, was once limited to our schools and classrooms. Now, a 14-year-old girl in
You have 2 minutes left.
A 14-year-old girl in Kumasi can now feel pressured to learn a dance from the US or imitate a slave queen who flaunts resources from questionable resources. Ladies and gentlemen, a clear example is the teleportation vibe. A clear example is a queer educator, a popular online figure, which my opponents know, who dresses like a woman, posts explicit gay content.